my name is Queen K, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Honey. And I just wanted to take the time today to show you all how you're able to access the Reach One Network application on your Amazon Fire TV. So without further ado, let's get things started. All right, so we're here on the landing page for the Fire TV. We're going to go ahead and use the voice command by searching by saying, Alexa, open Reach One Network.
Here's Reach One Network.
And we're here. So we have the live section, radio section, and video section. So immediately you see Honey. You can definitely tap in over to see what's the buzz there. Consistent 24/7 good stuff, content over there, as well as, like I said, the radio section. Here we have some great things for your listening pleasure. Just in case you want to listen into some things you may not want to, you might want to see anything. You want to listen. And last but not least, we have the video section, which is a repository of all the wonderful content that has come up and things that will be airing very soon. So I'm very excited to see what you guys think. So take some time, go through each tab and really just dig into the content here. And make sure you guys are rating us, and we're just happy to see you guys do this content. My name is Queen K, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hi everyone, my name is Queen K, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Honey. And I just wanted to take the time today to show you all how you're able to access the Reach One Network application on your Amazon Fire TV. So without further ado, let's get things started. All right, so we're here on the landing page for the Fire TV. We're going to go ahead and use the voice command by searching by saying, Alexa, open Reach One Network.
Here's Reach One Network.
And we're here. So we have the live section, radio section, and video section. So immediately you see Honey. You can definitely tap in over to see what's the buzz there. Consistent 24/7 good stuff, content over there, as well as, like I said, the radio section. Here we have some great things for your listening pleasure. Just in case you want to listen into some things you may not want to, you might want to see anything. You want to listen. And last but not least, we have the video section, which is a repository of all the wonderful content that has come up and things that will be airing very soon. So I'm very excited to see what you guys think. So take some time, go through each tab and really just dig into the content here. And make sure you guys are rating us, and we're just happy to see you guys do this content. My name is Queen K, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hi everyone, my name is Queen K, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Honey. And I just wanted to take the time today to show you all how you're able to access the Reach One Network application on your Amazon Fire TV. So without further ado, let's get things started. All right, so we're here on the landing page for the Fire TV. We're going to go ahead and use the voice command by searching by saying, Alexa, open Reach One Network.
Here's Reach One Network.
And we're here. So we have the live section, radio section, and video section. So immediately you see Honey. You can definitely tap in over to see what's the buzz there. Consistent 24/7 good stuff, content over there, as well as, like I said, the radio section. Here we have some great things for your listening pleasure. Just in case you want to listen into some things you may not want to, you might want to see anything. You want to listen. And last but not least, we have the video section, which is a repository of all the wonderful content that has come up and things that will be airing very soon. So I'm very excited to see what you guys think. So take some time, go through each tab and really just dig into the content here. And make sure you guys are rating us, and we're just happy to see you guys do this content. My name is Queen K, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Greetings everyone, it is the architect Sean Garvey, and guess what? I am back in the beautiful city of the ATL, as you can see in the backdrop here. Looks a little bit like the old Atlanta, but not the new Atlanta. I'm just saying. But I'm here to let you know to join me coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24 as I introduce a brand new show called Sean Garvey and My Special Guest. Make sure you join me as I sit down and have one-on-one conversations with the best and brightest stars in the radio, film, TV, and even in the music industry. Plus, you get to learn something from yours truly and from my special guest. So make sure you join me, Sean Garvey, and my special guest coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24, available on Comcast and Xfinity. And make sure you follow me on social media at Sean Garvey ATL. Mama, I made it, and I'm not even on the news. Greetings, everyone. It is the architect, Sean Garvey, and guess what? I am back in the beautiful city of the ATL, as you can see in the backdrop here. Looks a little bit like the old Atlanta, but not the new Atlanta. I'm just saying. But I'm here to let you know to join me coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24 as I introduce a brand new show called Sean Garvey and My Special Guest. Make sure you join me as I sit down and have one-on-one conversations with the best and brightest stars in the radio, film, TV, and even in the music industry. Plus, you get to learn something from yours truly and from my special guest. So make sure you join me, Sean Garvey, and my special guest coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24, available on Comcast and Xfinity. And make sure you follow me on social media at Sean Garvey ATL. Mama, I made it, and I'm not even on the news. Greetings, everyone. It is the architect, Sean Garvey, and guess what? I am back in the beautiful city of the ATL, as you can see in the backdrop here. Looks a little bit like the old Atlanta, but not the new Atlanta. I'm just saying. But I'm here to let you know to join me coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24 as I introduce a brand new show called Sean Garvey and My Special Guest. Make sure you join me as I sit down and have one-on-one conversations with the best and brightest stars in the radio, film, TV, and even in the music industry. Plus, you get to learn something from yours truly and from my special guest. So make sure you join me, Sean Garvey, and my special guest coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24, available on Comcast and Xfinity. And make sure you follow me on social media at Sean Garvey ATL. Mama, I made it, and I'm not even on the news.
Welcome to Therapy Ain't No Joke with your host, Sean Garvey, and joining with me once again by popular demand, certified forensic peer specialist or mentor, I should say, Rasta, aka Mr. Goodman or Mr. Goodman, aka Rasta, joining with us. How you doing this evening?
Absolutely great on purpose. Just
excellent.
Feeling the vibe.
Great on purpose.
Just feeling the vibe. It's Mental Health Month. Let's get it.
May is still Mental Health Awareness Month. We want to make sure that we continue to mention that to our viewers and our listeners as they are tuning in live with us this evening. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Reach One Network. We are coming to you live on our YouTube channel at Reach One Network. And don't forget to check out a replay of tonight's broadcast on Honey and on The Flow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But right now, we are coming to you live from our YouTube channel as well as on our Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL and on Facebook. So you get a chance to watch us on multiple platforms this evening. And I hope you enjoy and take something from today's show. If you are new to the program, this is the show in which we talk about all things considered mental health in our community and around the world. And I was talking to my brother Rasta earlier this afternoon, and I said, hey, listen, a lot of people, Rasta, tuned in and watched our show from last week as we talked about mental health, like we always do. Mental illness, is it at an all-time high? And boy, the comments were coming in, the feedback were coming in, and I said to myself, you know what, we got to do a part 2, because due to the fact that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so many people are feeling the anxiety, feeling the pinch, feeling all types of different emotions right now, whether it's in the current state of political arena that we're in, or things dealing with our personal lives and our professional lives, we got to keep this conversation going. And I thought there is a need to do a part 2 to last week's conversation. And by the way, I want to let people know, Rasta, that last week's show was pre-recorded. You may have tuned in live from 7 to 9 p.m. on Wednesday night and saw us two gentlemen in our dapper outfit last week. But we are live. And you know what that means, Rasta? That means that people can actually comment live with us from 7 to 9 or 7 to 8 p.m., depending on how this conversation goes. They can join in on the conversation, and we have already put in the YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, we put in the YouTube comment section that you can click the link below or right in front of you to join in on the conversation if you have something to say about mental illness, mental health, everything that we're going to be talking about tonight. Just click on the StreamYard link, and I myself, the producer, will bring you on camera. All we ask in return is for you to not use any profanity, because we're going to be simulcasting also on ATL Community Media Channel 24, available on Comcast and Xfinity. So please watch the language. Do not use any profanity if you decide that you want to come on live with us by clicking on the StreamYard link below. So click on the StreamYard link below. I'm going to actually put it in the comment section on the Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL. So for all of my people that are watching us via Instagram, they can click on the link in the comment section. I want to try and pin it in just a few moments. But there you go for all of my Instagram users out there. Click on the StreamYard link below if you want to weigh in on tonight's conversation, because Rasta, this conversation is going to be heavy.
Right.
Let's do it. And by the way, bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. Rasta, I know we got some comments from people saying, hey, what's going on with Rasta's Wi-Fi? We're working on it. So just bear with us as we work on the process on getting Rasta straight. You know, it would be great, Rasta, is that we would be in the studio together, not by way of virtual, but in the studio together. That would be so awesome.
Absolutely. Hopefully, that's in the making. It is kind of me in the air, so y'all please forgive me. However, we still gonna make this all about the.
Yep. And that's why I'm here. Because there's going to be some nights where I'm going to be holding it down by myself. And then there's going to be some shows, some episodes where Rasta is going to be holding it down by himself. But that's why I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I do this producer thing, not just for the love, but for a living. So I got you. All right. So this is on my mind for the past few days and even today, right? Even while I'm working. And I want to have an honest conversation, Rasta, and for the viewers and people that are tuning in, watching us live. I've been in some combative conversations with various people over the past few days. Some of them are what I call my friends, my colleagues, and what have you. And, if anybody, there we go. See, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. Rasta will be back on in just a few moments. We had some technical difficulties with his connection there. But as I was saying, I've been in a few combative conversations with a few people over the past few days, both personally and professionally. And if anybody knows me personally, people know, or people that are close to me know, that I'm not a person of conflict. I'm not a person that likes to go toe-to-toe with anybody, or I don't like confrontation. I don't like get into arguments. I am a very chill type of person. I'm very laid back, right? And so I handle things accordingly, because it's all in how you react to things at the end of the day, and you don't want to react to something or towards somebody that's going to put you in a position or in a situation where it could escalate to something more worse. You know, and as a person who is a mental health advocate, and I always deemed and consider myself to be a mental health advocate, I believe in diffusing the situation, de-escalating the situation by talking to people calmly and listening to them without interrupting them. I'm just like, hey, look, I'm just going to let you speak, let you get whatever you need to get off your chest or what have you. I'm not going to interrupt you. You're not going to interrupt me. If we are on the same alignment with each other, get off whatever you need to get off of your chest. I'm listening, and I just expect for you to do the same thing in the art of conversation. In the heat of the moment, when people react to things that they may not agree with, and it causes the other person to feel some type of way, then it's like, okay, we need to figure out a solution. We need to figure out a plan where all of us are happy. Not just you, not just me, but both of us are happy. We got Rasta back on. Rasta, you there?
Ready.
All right, there you go. All right, so I was saying, Rasta, to our viewers out there, that, you know, in the art of confrontation and arguments and stuff, you know, I tend to be the person to just listen, let you get off where you need to get off, and then I will give my perspective, I will give my 2 cents and provide my argument so that you can understand where I'm coming from, but at the same time, I want to understand where you're coming from so we can get to a solution in a timely fashion. And then sometimes, you know, when people tend to take it there to the next level or what have you, you know, you pretty much just go accordingly and you go all the way there with them. And now it just becomes a very big, major issue.
Right.
And so what I want to talk about on today's show on Therapy Ain't No Joke, part 2 of our conversation from last week's show is mental illness at an all-time high, part 2. Why aren't you seeking therapy? And, you know, as I talk to different people, Roster, and our viewers out there, as I continue to talk to people, I kind of find myself to be somewhat like a therapist. To give a disclaimer to our viewers and listeners out there, I am not a licensed therapist, so please consult with a licensed therapist before talking to me or before tuning into today's broadcast. But it's almost like I am a therapist when I'm talking to some people, right? And then, you know, there are people out there, Rasta, that don't know how to channel their frustration and their anger in other avenues. They just take it out on that individual, take it out on that person, or even take it out on me, right? And, you know, as I was sharing a few minutes into the broadcast, that I find myself to be in combative conversations with people because they either don't agree with what I said or they don't agree with how I move and how I do things and stuff. And I'm trying to explain to them why I said what I said and why I'm doing what I'm doing and stuff. And they just pretty much don't really understand or don't completely understand why they're doing, or they feel like their way has to be this way, you know, and it turns very combative, going back and forth. And, you know, to me, Rasta, I think this goes all the way back to childhood.
Yeah.
It goes back to childhood. It goes back to the environment. It goes back to where you were at in your life 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years ago, you know, from an unstable household and seeing your parents argue all the time and stuff. And certain things that you see as a child become very normalizing to you.
Right.
You know, and that can spill into personal relationships with people and professional relationships you have with people. And I believe that therapy is definitely something needed in our community, because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. People have this misconception of therapy that, oh, I'm paying X amount of dollars to see a therapist to tell me about my problems, about my issues, when in fact, I already know what my issues are. I already know what the problem is. I don't need to pay X amount of money to go see a therapist to tell me something that I already know. You know,
Right.
I mean, we can also talk about the shame behind it, the fact that they feel like, you know, I can just ride the wave and work it out or what have you. But therapy should be in place to make sure that you channel your emotions in a healthy, but yet in a different direction than taking it out on other people that could result into something fatal, like violence.
Right.
That could result into something that would leave both parties in a uncompromising, uncomfortable situation.
Absolutely.
You know, we have seen it over the years, and we're going to go to Rasta in just a few seconds, but we have seen it over the years where mass shootings occurred. We have had mass shooting. We had to have mass shooting not too long ago at schools.
Right.
We have seen the level of violence of people going around and shooting at innocent people and taking other people's lives and stuff because they have not sat down with a therapist, or they may have sat down with a therapist, but that they have not done the work.
Right.
We have seen people take their anger out on other people, which have led them to go on social media and call that person out on social media, and that person see it, and now, you know, they start to clash again and stuff, and it's just so many different layers, Rasta, of people going out and taking their anger out on other people, and you have not sat down with a therapist.
Right.
You have not done the work. So let's say you, Rasta. Tonight we're talking about is mental illness at an all-time high. Part 2, why aren't you seeking therapy? And by the way, we had comments via Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL from people that commented on last week's subject. We're going to get to them in just a few moments. But what are your thoughts, Rasta? You said last week that you do believe that mental illness is at an all-time high. You know, what do you think about everything that I said thus far? You know, people that are going out here and just lashing out at other people, taking their anger out on other people. Maybe it's something that, you know, that person said that triggered them, and they just lash out to where it becomes very confrontational, combative, or even violent at times. Let's say you.
Well, let's first of all, everything you said, whether people like the verbiage or not, is a fact. First and foremost, okay. Nowadays, 50% of adolescents experience a mental health issue. 50% of adolescents now, at a time where, yes, mental health is at an all-time high, yet the awareness of it is too. So if it's 50% now, think about the percentage it was back when I was younger, back when you was younger, 30, 40, 50 years ago, how it falls into play. I remember when I was younger, I was probably about maybe 13, 14 years old. It was a young boy. He was probably about 6 or 7. He had a cousin that was about around the same age as him. They were playing. One pushed the other one. One left. After a while, I was there. I left. As I was leaving, the little boy was going back to that same area. Come to find out, maybe 10 minutes later, you hear a shot. The 7-year-old shot the other 7-year-old just because he wouldn't give him a cup sickle. That is a mental health issue. That stems from the home. I know the home. I'm familiar with the home he came from. A lot of violence,
Right.
A lot of abuse. No one had to speak about it because everybody's tough or they don't have a place to go. So reverting back to now, these days and times, yes, mental health has a wave of awareness now. The education is more available now, but it's only made more available now because it's at an all-time high. It's at an all-time high. Let's kind of throw some numbers out there. It's short. factual. These numbers are produced, if anyone would like to look them up, SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. Okay. They deal with trauma and therapy, mental health as a whole. These are their numbers. 2018, roughly about 13 million people identified with a mental health issue. Okay. Nowadays, as of the last year or so, so we'll say 2024, 57.8 million people have a mental health issue. 60 million.
Wow, that's high.
Yes. 60 million experience mental health issues in the last year. So we're talking 2018, roughly 13 million to 2024, ending of 24, processing into 25, 57 million. Let's be realistic. These are numbers. Anyone that cares to look them up, you're more than welcome, because that's just more awareness. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. That way we can be more informed and we can push the agenda together, opposed to having certain discrepancies about mental health as a whole. Part of that increase came in 2019. COVID. Okay. COVID-19. Yeah. COVID-19 from 2019 to 2020, you know, that was kind of COVID triggered a significant increase in mental health issues, which contributes to that large spike. And let's go back a little bit in some of what I said, just in short. 50% of adolescents experience a mental health issue.
I wanted to think about that for a moment. You know, we think about COVID-19 and we think about the pandemic, and just even talking to different therapists, Rasta, and psychiatrists and people in the mental health field, and them telling me their phones would not stop ringing during the pandemic from people that needed access to resources or just to talk to somebody during the pandemic and even the year after that and after that. So I can only imagine the numbers being what they are. Very, very high, very, very high. So according to our sources here, and we get this information behind our opinion because I think it's very important, Rasta, that we inform the people on how heavy and how high mental illness here in America is. And so it appears that mental illness and related issues are indeed at an all-time high in the United States. Several factors contributed to this, including the COVID-19, like you just mentioned, the pandemic, increasing rates of substance use disorders, and rising suicide rates. We can't forget the number of people that have taken their lives over the years, the suicide rates. Mental health services are also struggling to keep up with the increased demand.
Yeah. Over 40,000 suicides per year on average. 40,000 on average. Only roughly about 6% of that actually have thoughts of it. So let's just take the percentage of thoughts. 6% of the population have that thought. Just the thought alone. Throw a little extra in there. The average person, I believe I said it last time, the average person has roughly 60,000 thoughts a day. Out of those 60,000, roughly 11,000 is actually positive. So out of that 11,000, you mean to tell me out of 60,000 thoughts, if that's not a mental health issue, if that's not something to bring awareness to, Some people have mental health moments not even knowing that that's what that is. Road rage, that's a slight adjustment in mental health. There's a person in a whole other car you don't even know, I've never seen before. Yeah, they cut you off. Yeah, it's aggravating, but you mean to tell me you want to run them down and roll your window down and scream irate things? That's an issue. It's just that simple. The cashier at the store, she's having a bad day. She want to curse you out so bad, and probably have. Why? People think attitude is normal. People is thinking now that aggression is normal. Thinking that disrespect is normal. If all the things that are offensive in life are becoming the norm, please, we all have to realize that that is a mental health issue.
And I'm going to also put out some information there, and this is according to a recent survey, Rasta, courtesy of Gallup survey. It says here that nearly 3 in 10 American adults say they have been clinically diagnosed with depression in their lifetime, a nearly 10% increase since 2015, which wasn't even that long ago. Additionally, the percentage of adults who are currently diagnosed with depression has also increased to an all-time high of 17.8%. Gallup also surveyed, get this, Rasta, a diverse sample of more than 5,000 U.S. adults from February 21st through the 28th. Now, once again, that is a recent survey. That's not updated, but that's a recent one. And so, Rasta, like, because prior to us coming on tonight's episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke, I know you had a whole lot to say you wanted to touch on the subject. We didn't get around to saying everything that we wanted to say last week. But why do you think the root cause of why people are not going to go to therapists or not seeking help or not seeking treatment? Because, you know, in this age, in this day of raising awareness about mental illness, about mental health, and always talking about mental health, there are people out there that are still not going to go see a therapist. Why is that?
From my experience, what I've seen, not just statistics, but that plays a part. Just by my lived experience alone, the stigma behind if we go get help, we're weak. Some people even use faith-based beliefs as a defense against going to get therapy. Well, you know, God got me. God will protect me. He'll take care of it. For the record, I believe that wholeheartedly. Keep pushing, keep praising, especially if that's what's working. Go for it. However, the Most High, if we're going to use that lane of thought and train of thought, the Most High gave people the ability to be there to listen to your issues and help you navigate through them with different pathways, whether it's in recovery or just a stable mental health space. So a lot of people are stuck behind the stigma of, I ain't going to get no help. I ain't weak. I ain't no such and such and such. And then their friends are doing the same thing. Oh, you going to see a psychiatrist? Oh man, you crazy. You tripping. Nobody wants to be looked at like that. Not realizing that therapy is the help. Not realizing that most people provide therapy for each other, just not on a professional level. So if we could remember that, if I talk to my best friend or I talk to my wife, I have an amazing wife, by the way, love her to death. If I talk to my wife about a problem, she's my therapist in the moment. She's not licensed. But at the same time, if I'm talking to my wife about a problem that she has no knowledge of or strong knowledge or experience in, I'm still stuck. But I think I'm okay because I spoke to somebody. Sure didn't get no real help. So now we stuck again. But we think we're okay because we got it out. But we got it out with no residual. Or what do they call it? There's no reciprocity. There's nothing going back and forth in order to make that support stronger. It's all stigmas on how we was raised. You know, what's done in the house, stay in the house. What's in the family, stay in the family. Don't talk to nobody. You better not tell nobody. I'm here to let everybody and anybody know. And if you're listening, please seek help if you feel deep down inside you need help. If you feel confused deep down inside, get help. If you're unsure about what kind of help to do, please know this. I didn't have it growing up. Y'all have it. It's called the cell phone with internet. You literally have the entire world in the palm of your hands. We tend to forget about that when we scrolling and posting and allowing the things that we scroll and see affect us as well, activate us, give us bad thoughts, seeing certain comments. That's activating us, that's setting us back, scaring us, or allowing us to be in a delusional state, depending on what we're viewing. We take time to do that, but we won't take time to scroll and get help or scroll to certain websites that are provided for recovery or therapeutic purposes. Please take your time, pick your phone up, seek assistance. That's the gist overall, brother. It's just a stigma of how a person was raised thinking that help is weak.
Yeah. You know, you said something that was very interesting, and then I remember talking to someone about if they ever thought about going to seek or get therapy. And, you know, something you said just a few moments ago about, you know, you being married and you could go to your wife. Your wife is a therapist in that moment. She's not a licensed therapist, but she's a therapist in that moment because you can talk to her about any and everything. And I was just recall talking to someone a while ago, just asking this person, hey, have you ever thought about getting therapy? And he's like, nah, you know, I mean, my wife would tell me if I need therapy or not. And I was like, wow, that's very interesting. So you trying to say to me, this person that I had a conversation with, you're trying to tell me that if your wife, someone that you close to more than anybody else on the face of this planet, told you that you need to go get therapy, you need to go seek help, you would go and do it. But if she have not told you that you need to go get help, you need to go get therapy, you wouldn't do it. You find that to be very interesting. So, you know, we kind of become, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ross, but we kind of become codependent to that loved one, to that spouse, to that person we're in a personal relationship to tell us whether or not we need to go seek therapy. I mean, is that accurate?
Unfortunately, yes. Trauma has a codependency too. And trauma is the one thing that speaks every language across the world, whether you're of any ethnic background, whatever language you speak, whatever country you come from, trauma speaks that language. And trauma builds its own bond. So let's say you and I, we grew up together, same house and all. You always picking on me. You always hurting my feelings. Me and you always fighting. Guess what? Can't nobody hurt you. Can't nobody pick on you because I'm there. That codependency in trauma also keeps people together. And if my trauma partner says I'm good, then I'm good. Because only my trauma partner can tell me that I need help because they the ones that know you're stupid. You crazy. I'm proud of you. You're dumb. They're the closest to me. They would know.
Ooh.
They would
We
know.
get into
They're
that
around
conversation we get into that
see what I'm
conversation
saying?
of trauma bond. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's no different than a male or female that is in an abusive, physical abusive, or mentally or verbal abusive language. That if this person's getting beat on verbally, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, they still have an attachment to this person and will defend this person, and vice versa. I was a victim of that at one time. Let me use my lived experience for a minute. There were times where I was a complete difficult individual, ignorant at times, belligerent. Yet, the person stuck by me. But I was their trauma. Technically, I was their downfall. I was their trigger. But at the same time, I'm trying to help them. You know, you could do this to be better. You know, you could try to read this or study this, right? I'm trying to heal you, but I'm the one hurting you. I'm trying to give you advice on how to be a better you, but I'm the one abusing you.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful. Why does that sound so familiar right now? I mean, you know, I don't want to state the obvious, or, you know, this is not the type of show where we want to touch on certain things. I mean, there are certain things we can touch on that's happening in current events, but I know with the ongoing situation that's happening right now in court between Diddy and Cassie, we all know the story. We're not going to take up the entire show to talk about that. But what you said is similar to what's going on and what is being presented in court following the difficult relationship that Cassie was in with Diddy. So, you know, you illustrated that so well, that even in relationships where things become verbal, like verbal attack, even at times a physical attack, it could be normalizing. It could be very normalized to that person, where that person would defend that other individual and tell people, oh, you know, he gets angry at times, or, oh, she's just like that. You know, that's just her personality. And we just let it go. We just let it go. We let it ride until something really, really happens where people are hurt. People are dead in the process. And it's all, you know, it all goes back to not putting in the work when it comes to therapy. Why? Because therapy ain't no joke. That's the name of our show tonight. If you're watching and tuning in, we are following up to our conversation from last week in regards to mental illness. It's mental illness at an all-time high, part 2. And the second question to that is, why aren't you seeking therapy? I did a promo earlier, Rasta, and I said, hey, there are people out there that I know personally, that need to go seek help. They need to go seek therapy. They need to go get with a licensed therapist. They need to sit with somebody. Personally, I know a few people off the top of my head that I know need to go and sit down with a therapist. And they may have sat down with a therapist and was like, oh, you know, it ain't for me. Or, you know, that person, you know, that person was just telling me things, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good. You know, I can work it out on my own and stuff like that. But, you know, what kind of work is the person not doing? Because I think sometimes, you know, they go to a therapist because somebody told them that they need to go seek a therapist. It's more to that. But it's almost like going to the gym, if I can put it in that context. It's like going to the gym and working out. You need to work on your body. You need to work on your legs. You need to get in shape, stay in shape, so you can live a healthier lifestyle and avoid these common diseases and illnesses that could or may occur. So it's the same thing with going to a therapist on the regular and putting in the work. Well, you know, what other factors, what other key factors, Rasta, do you think people have or contributed or may have inherited, I should say, into where they don't want to go put in the work. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to, you know, work on being a better version of themselves. What are some of the key factors there?
Well, first I'm gonna start by using the example that you gave. People going to therapy, saying a couple things, listening to the therapist, leaving. They might have been going there a week, 2 weeks, a month, maybe a year. Nothing's changing. That's the equivalent of your gym scenario. I go to the gym. I say I want to lose weight and still get stronger. I put the weights on and I walk away. I go on the squat rack. I slide the weight on and say, yeah, I'm finna do 135, 175 pounds 15 times. I put the weight on and then walk away. See, it's like recovery. It works if you work it. It's not just about going. I could read 100 books, but if I don't apply what I've read, it doesn't matter. And I'll never see the results of it. And in some cases, I might be like, man, I read them books for nothing. They ain't did nothing. When it comes to people going to therapy, a lot of times it doesn't work because they don't put the work in, the application of what they're learning. If a person, no offense to anyone, a scam artist, what do? They learn, they study, and then they go practice. Oh, that didn't work. They go practice. Okay, that worked.
Yeah.
All right. So in mental health and going to therapy for it, we go, we learn, we have to apply it. Majority of people, they go, they talk about it. For the moment, they felt better. Okay, they got something out, but they're still doing the same thing. That pattern, that stigma, all of that falls back into play. People, so they say, and so I've heard, are creatures of habit. So if we have built a habit based off of our predecessors, meaning our parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, older cousins, older siblings, if we learn from watching them, not necessarily what they say, but what they do and what they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what they don't do, because people don't realize even when you don't do something, that's still an action. And if I'm watching everybody around me not do this, even though I know that this is something that needs to be done, I'm still not going to do it. Because it's the pattern and the narrative on how I was raised and how I was brought up. That's why people don't really truly get the help or the major effects of therapy because they're used to a certain pattern. And until they figure out the next pattern, they'll continue to have the same pattern with no result, with no end. So the trauma language continues to speak to them, just in a different tone. So now they think they're okay. It's no different than I talk to you in this manner, and then in a few minutes, I say the same thing, but really low. See, this low is therapy. I hear it, but it's kind of vague. But this is the life I normally live, based off of how I grew up, the home I grew up in, the relationships I've had. It's very loud and it's very clear, even if it makes no sense.
Wow. Learned behavior. A lot of things are learned behavior. We as children, now as adults, we soak up everything like sponges. We hear that a lot. We're like children. We soak up everything that we learn in the household. and we apply it into our adult life as we get older. And, you know, sometimes we don't know where we get it from until we realize in our minds, we go back to our childhood. It's like, oh, wow, I learned this because of this person or that person, or I've seen this person in the household do this, or I've seen that person do that in the environment that I was in. A lot of things we tend to inherit as kids is all learned behavior. Learned behavior. Yeah. Yeah.
Scientifically, factually speaking, right? Because even though we have opinion and we respect each other's opinion, we still have to put the facts into play. Okay? A child's basic learning experience is from 4 months in the womb to 3 years outside of the womb. So, this woman is pregnant, arguing back and forth with the father or anybody, going through drama, this, that, and the third. And let's keep it as respectful as possible. They're not on no alcohol. They're not on no kind of drugs, okay? Just the constant arguing, the bickering, being upset, being sad, being mad. Now, remember, 4 months in the womb to 3 years out is a child's basic foundation of their life. You're going through this in the womb for the next 5.5, maybe 6 months. This is learned behavior in the womb. Facts, if a woman is laying down and you put headphones on and it's Spanish, you could actually teach your child Spanish in the womb. So if you could teach your child Spanish in the womb, picture if your child speaks the same language you speak and hear you going through this and are connected to your emotions. They're going through what you're going through. They're feeling what you're feeling. They're rationalizing the same thoughts that you're rationalizing. They just may not have no clue of how to process that because they're not here yet. Then when they come out in the world, they're left there to holler. Oh, that baby just hollering. Don't worry about it. I already changed the baby. I already fed the baby. Okay, did you birth the baby? Do you know what certain tones of a baby mean? Literally, they all mean different things. It's not just a baby trying to talk, just to be talking. No, they're trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
But you steady placing this trauma on this child. Then when they get 3 years old, all of a sudden, you're a little bad behind. You always doing this. You always doing that. For all the viewers, this one's personal for me. I would like you to really acknowledge the fact that if this is a child and you're constantly saying, you're bad, you always doing this, you are bad. Believe it or not, that repetitive motion of your lips that say you're bad, you're training this child to believe that they're bad. And that's what they become. You're programming your child to be bad. And then when you whoop them physically or in any other manner, when you discipline your child physically, what you're saying is it's okay to lash out at somebody when you're in your feelings. So in tune, when this child starts going to school and they get in their feelings and they hit another child, they learned that from you. Now, why did you discipline that child again when the school called you? That was learned from you. That's a learned behavior from in the womb. See, a lot of people want to say what we can do now and how we can do it. But when we start digging deep where this started from, let's really get into it by touching on it, acknowledging it, and then on our own, we can go back and do our research and then look back at our own life and see what's really going on.
Yeah.
Because remember,
you gotta think.
It is Mental Health Awareness Month. So let's take the opportunity to realize that therapy is not a joke.
Yeah.
It's serious.
It is. It is not really. Yeah. That's why we're having this conversation tonight. Is mental illness at an all-time high? Part 2 to our conversation from last week Why aren't you seeking therapy? We also have the StreamYard link in the bottom of the comment section on YouTube, just in case you are watching us on YouTube. You can also check us out on Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL, as well as on Facebook at Sean Garvey. We have Certified Forensic Peer Mentor Rasta hanging out with me this evening with yours truly, Sean Garvey. And we got some comments that we are open to share live right here on Therapy Ain't No Joke. All the way from Ghana, Africa, we got Kofi. Kofi says, watching y'all live from Ghana. Salute you all. So thank you. Big shout out to the people out there in Ghana, Africa, and just the entire continent of Africa. Such a very beautiful place. Thank you so much, Kofi from Ghana, checking in with us. Continue to watch and keep supporting Therapy Ain't No Joke as we continue to talk about, is mental health, or mental illness, I should say, is mental illness at an all-time high? Why aren't people seeking therapy? Why are they not going out here and getting the help and the treatment that they need to maintain their mental well-being? We're also taking your comments, and you can call us on the studio line at 404-259-5076. I really haven't been promoting that too much, but you can call in and check in with us and make a comment on the studio line, 404-259-5076. I want to take a moment, Rasta, to say this and talk to our brothers and sisters, right? In the Black community, we deal with so much. We deal with so much trauma, past trauma, PTSD. If you know me from the mental space on 1380 WAOK, we talked about this a lot on the show of being Black in America and all the stuff we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But I want to talk to my brothers, but I'm going to get on my sisters. I definitely got to get on my sisters, but I want to talk to my brothers and hold our brothers accountable. I want to hold both our brothers and our sisters accountable when it comes to mental health.
Right.
Brothers, let me talk to the brothers real quick, and Rasta, you can chime in as well. Brothers, before you pick up that gun, before you lash out at your woman or disrespect your woman or call your woman the B word or the H word or call any woman the B word or the H word, or you feel like you are ready to turn up on somebody, please go sit down with somebody before you pick up that gun. Please go see somebody before you lash out at your woman. Please go see somebody before you go and beat down that person. Please go see someone before you go on social media and brag and boast kind of guns you have in your home, or the money you flashing on your social media. Please go see someone before you go into any type of place of business and just be loud for no kind of reason. You just want attention. I say that with such a heavy heart, Rasta, and for our viewers out there, because we got too many brothers out here dying. I know that's such a cliche, and we've been saying that for the longest, but as a person who worked in the news department and a person who watches the news every single day, and a day does not go by unless I hear a brother being locked up for some stupid stuff, or a younger brother, or a young brother, or even an older brother, or a Black man, no matter how old he is gunned down due to an argument inside or outside of a nightclub, outside of a restaurant, or in the middle of the street, or what have you. A lot of brothers are dying over arguments that are senseless, because you don't agree with what that person said, or because that person wouldn't give you $1, or you look at them funny, or you accuse them or assume they're looking at you funny, and that poses as a threat to you. And you want to go to jail over that? You want to go to prison over that? You want to die over that? That's too much. That's too much. Rossi, did you want to add anything to that before we get on the sisters? Because we got to talk to our sisters. We definitely do. But I want to get your thoughts on that first.
Coming from that type of life, with my lived experience, young men, older men as a whole. Here's the thing. Think about this. 9 times out of 10, you get into an argument with somebody and you say they disrespected you, which is why you're thinking about doing what you're doing. How about this? Who told you it was disrespectful? Did you ever look it up? Did you ever sit down and really think about it? Outside of the fact your friends and the elders that was around you told you that it was disrespectful. Did you ever really think about if it's really disrespecting you? Did you ever think about, is this person and what I'm about to do worth 10, 15, 25 years of my life away from the things I love the most? Family, making money, possibly hanging out, creating new avenues for other people. For some of you street guys, bosses create bosses. That's what a boss is. Bosses create bosses. Put other people in position to be bosses. What position you putting in picking up a gun and shooting somebody and killing somebody over because you was in your feelings? You was in your feelings. How are you, as the young folks say, standing on business when you shooting somebody because you was in your feelings? But you'll call another dude that you see in his feelings a such and such and a whoop-de-whoop and this, that, and the third. All these names when you watch him in his feelings. But you want to pick up a gun with your friends and do the same thing. Make it make sense. Now, younger generation, guess what? Here's a thought, and then I'm going to get off it. Will your friend or friends come feed you when you paralyzed from the neck down? While your family go to work and try to figure out how to pay for these bills? Is your friend going to come over there and wash your behind and change your sheets and change that bag you got on your side? Is he or she going to do that? Not pour some drink out or smoke for you or put your face on the shirt and say, yeah, he was a real one. Nah, I ain't talking about that. Are they going to come wipe your tail with you boo-boo all over the place and all over yourself? Is that the friend you got? They'll pick up a gun and go shoot with you. But will they change your diaper? Will they watch you? Will they sit with you 8, 9 hours a day? 12 hours? Because your family out there trying to get that money to take care of you? Think about it. And they say yeah until it happens. Just like the friend said yeah when you went to prison, they got your back, and all they did was respectfully, not trying to be extra, all they did was go sleep with the mother of your children. That's the reality. And you calling home, you want to talk to your child, and your best friend answered the phone and said, "What's up, homie? How you? Man, what you doing over there?" Nothing, just kicking it. You want to talk to your old lady? Because they just got finished doing something. That's what you look forward to every time you pick up a gun. Ending your life and the lives around you and creating this mental health stigma and problem for your child to fall into this same conversation that we're having now about mental health and how it starts as a child.
Yeah. And what he's saying, brothers, young brothers, what he's saying doesn't just only happen in the movies. That also happens in real life. All right. Now I got to turn over to our black women, our black queens, our sisters. Let me just say, before I get into it, I love y'all. I come from a black woman. I come from a black mother. Most of my life, I've been around nothing but black women. I have black female friends. I have black female cousins. I have black female aunties. I every day, I'm always around a black woman. my supervisors that I work in the media entertainment industry, a lot of them are Black women. I work under a Black woman for one particular company that I work for outside of my company. So I love my Black women. I love my Black queens. Let me just say that first. But for some of my sisters out there, whether I know you personally or not, let me just say that what you went through as a child, what you went through as a teenager, should not have happened. I don't hope and pray for any of that to happen, not even on my worst enemies. Sometimes I don't consider my enemies to be my enemies. That's a whole different conversation. But I don't wish that for anybody. And if I had a superpower, because, you know, sometimes we get asked that question, Rasta, like, what would be your superpower? And besides reading minds, I would say going back in time and being a superhero and saving that young Black girl from that molester, or saving that young Black girl from that rapist, or saving that young Black girl from that dysfunctional household, or from that home where her dad wasn't around her all the time and all he kept doing was yelling at her, and bringing some form of trauma to her from the time she was a little girl to her teenage years, not being there for her and bringing her so much trauma, and not just only from the daddy, but also from the mama. I wish I could go back in time and be a superhero to a lot of young Black girls that went through that. But I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't do that. I can't. But I also want to say to my sisters out there, I'm not your enemy. Rasta is not your enemy. We're not your enemy. And I implore you, sisters, please, either go seek therapy, or if you have seek therapy and you're ready to just be done with getting therapy, you gotta find something that's therapeutic to you, that's going to prevent you from lashing out at any and everybody. Don't put yourself in a position to always be hurt or always be the victim whenever you come across an individual or a person that had nothing to do with your past. We've all have either done bad things, or some of us, we've had bad things done to us. And it's okay to be in places and be in spaces to be vulnerable and to talk to a therapist, a psychiatrist, or whoever about it. But in the world where you have to socialize and work with people on a professional level or whatever level, relationships, this, that, and the other, and all that person is trying to do is help you or try to communicate with you or what have you, you can't take everything as an attack. You can't take everything as somebody reminding you of that person that did you wrong when you was a child or when you was a teenager. This is why this show is not just only for Black men, and you got 2 Black men hosting the show, but we need our sisters, we need our queens to also be vulnerable with us, to watch this show, to pass this show on, and to get something out of it. And I'm actually about to read one of the comments that a Black female therapist wrote in the comment section of Instagram from last week's episode. But before I go to the comments, because I definitely want you to respond to one of the comments that were made by a Black female therapist. from last week's Therapy Ain't No Joke. I want you to kind of, feel free to respond or to expound to what I just said to our viewers so far about our Black women.
Well, y'all may not never hear this again. But a nation can rise no higher than its women. Point blank. Women, y'all are the key to a whole nother realm of growth, to a whole nother realm of life, in a space that only you can hold. Between my grandmother, my mother, and my wife, and watching my daughters, I have learned so much. My wife is a large contributor to the stabilization of my mental health as a melanated man. Women, when you get on your guys and you tear him down, he becomes worse. I'm not saying stern conversations don't need to be had, but they need to be conversations. I love you. I miss you. I'm proud of you. I see you. You got it. You'll figure it out. Makes a difference when you got to be out there in that world and fight that world and come home and fight the one that you love and the only person that you can open up to. It's a whole nother ball game. Women, y'all are the key to the growth and elevation of our culture. How do we prove that? In short, name something a man wouldn't do for a woman. Niece, daughter, auntie, cousin, mama, grandmama. He'll scorch the earth. He ain't gonna do that for his brother. He's not gonna do that for his daddy. And he's definitely not gonna do it for his son. They'll defend them, but not like you. It's hardwired in our DNA to be the fixer and the protector of the woman. Yes, us as men, we need help. And we need to seek help so that we can be the best version of ourselves. However, women, you have the verbiage to destroy a man. And as you destroy him, you're still asking him to sacrifice everything that he is to make you smile. That is not right. So my complete message is, you are powerful, you are all, you are everything. A man will change his life to make sure that you're okay. Especially if you've proven to be the right one, because you're the one uplifting him and guiding him. Now, a slight segue, I want to take this moment to thank my wife on air. I love you. You my baby, you my all, you my everything. You all I need. You my gangster, you my ride or die. Because guess what? I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for you saying I love you and I believe you. I wouldn't be where I was at if you didn't say, you got it. I don't care what nobody say. Go get it. Go do it. Go do it. Baby, I don't know if I can do it. Who are you talking to? You my husband. Go do it. How about this? I'm going to speak it into existence and you just walk in it. How about that? You go, girl. I love you, woman. And women, that's the power y'all have. To make a man change without asking him to change. That's the power y'all hold. Tighten up. So that means if you need therapy, if you need psychiatrists, if you need to go online and look something up, if you need to reach back out to either one of us, hey, pick up the phone, email, do something, because you deserve it.
Yeah. And we're going to provide that information to our viewers in just a few moments. But see, ladies, our black women, our black queens, y'all can't come at us. We're not bashing or doing anything of that nature that can be on somebody else's YouTube channel or YouTube show. But listen, Rasta just shouted out his black wife, his black queen. So y'all can't come at us, or you can't come at Rasta, because he made it clear that he loves you, and he definitely loves his wife. Definitely loves his wife. Good. So let's go to the comments here. We got a little bit of time left here on Therapy Ain't No Joke. And by the way, just to remind people, for those that are just watching and tuning in, we are syndicated. You can also check us out on ATL Community Media, Channel 24. Available on Comcast and Xfinity in Atlanta. By the way, we will play a replay of tonight's show on Honey the Flow starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. And we are also on demand. You can check out this show and many more on demand on our YouTube channel at Reach One Network. And while you're there, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And we're live on Instagram and Facebook while you're there as well. Feel free to follow me on Facebook and on Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And just like last week, we are doing a quarterback conversation with another question we are asking the public that are tuning in to watch Therapy Ain't No Joke. Is mental illness at an all-time high? Part 2, why aren't you seeking therapy? Now, if you recall last week, Rasta and the viewers out there, we had some people commenting in real time on the subject at hand. And I want to mention a comment that a listener made while we were on live Instagram and on YouTube, and it was towards the subject on mental illness at an all-time high. This comes from Renovating Minds LLC. That's Renovating Minds LLC via Instagram. And this person happens to be a Black female therapist. She says, quote, I wouldn't say it at an all-time high. I would say that more people are willing to open up about their experiences in mental health because the discussion is becoming more normalized. She also goes on to say this is a good thing as it is a step in the right direction to break the stigma attached to mental health illness. People are finally able to focus on a label, but rather on the help that's available. And I think she also made another comment too. No, those were the only 2 comments that she made. So go ahead, Rasta, please. If you like to retort or respond to that comment made on Instagram, the floor is yours.
Well, in short, I respect the statement. Let me make that clear, because this is not a platform of disrespect. This is a platform of support and clarity. Because we all have to realize that mental illness is at an all-time high, regardless of the awareness that is out there and the education that is available. That is just a fact. Anything outside of that is just an opinion. Yes, we've mentioned earlier about during COVID, how people were blowing up phones of psychiatrists and therapists. That's because most people were isolated, either literally by themselves, or they was with someone constantly and consistently. And because day-to-day life experiences have it where we're together in the morning, we're gone throughout the day, we come back later on, every day, 5, maybe 6 days a week. But now all of a sudden, 30, 40, 50 days, 2 months, no, you got to stay in this house. You got to stay in this apartment. Yeah, you need to talk to somebody else because you didn't know all this was going on with this person here. So yes, you're going to get phone calls. Speak to somebody different. But once you're able to get out and go, to some and most, what you still need therapy for. So it stops. The norm comes back for most. So to say, anyone, including myself, to say that mental illness is not at an all-time high, where do I live? Who am I around? Who am I not around? That I don't acknowledge this, especially in my profession. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I am a peer specialist, and I am certified. My lived experience gives me that authority in that certification. My constant study and elevation in my profession gives me that experience and authority to say, me, would be a fool if I thought that because I don't see it, or I'm not around it, or I'm not a part of it, it doesn't exist. That is mental health. And that's a mental health issue too, if I thought that. Because something would be wrong. That's like saying, because I'm in my house and I don't see trucks riding by my house, I don't hear them riding by my house, that nothing in the world is getting delivered. Because I don't hear it or see it. There is no store open right now because I'm in my house. I can't see it. And I'm not going. Nobody in my house left to go to no store, so they all must be closed. All of them. They're not open. When the fact of the matter is, we're live. It's 8 something. Practically every store is still open. And I have to identify the fact that when we relate that back to the conversation, just because I don't see it, just because I'm not a part of it, doesn't mean it's not happening. So that would be my direct response to that skillful and respected opinion that was laid on Instagram.
Let's just say this, and I do agree with both parties. I do understand where she's coming from, because mental illness has always been around, and even it was documented in the 80s and 90s about the number of people, primarily Rasta, in underprivileged areas like the hoods, the ghettos, and places that are less fortunate than others, experience a lot of mental illnesses, from unemployment, gang violence, poverty, you name it. And according to, and I think it's always imperative that we talk about this, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, studies show that in 2022, there were an estimated 59.3 million adults between the ages of 18 or older in the United States, not in the hoods, but in the United States in all areas, with an AMI. And this number, and that means, by the way, an acronym, any mental illness. This number represents, get this, 23.1% of all U.S. adults. The observed prevalence of AMI, any mental illness, was higher among females, 26.4%, than males, 19.7%. Young adults aged 18 to 25 years had the highest prevalence of any mental illness, 36.2%, compared to adults aged 26 to 49 years, that's 29.4%, and age 50 and older, 13.9%. And the prevalence of any mental illness was higher among the adults reporting 2 or more races, 35.2%, followed by white adults, 24.6%. The prevalence of any mental illness was higher, or lowest, I should say, among Asian adults, 16.8%. So we have seen in recent years, in recent times, that since social media and the advancement of technology and the internet and everything that came along with the 2000s and stuff, we started to see an uptick of mental illness outside of those underprivileged areas, and now it's being spreaded like a plague in metropolitan cities and suburban areas, and just all over the country, all over America. We can go as early, not too early, but we can go back to 1999. What happened in 1999? Columbine. We talked about the mass school shootings earlier, but people did not imagine at the time that there would be a school shooting in Colorado, in a school in Colorado, where unfortunately there were people who did not make it out alive. But that would be the biggest story of that year going into the new millennium in 2000. And I was still in high school at that time. We were all worried as Black students. We thought that some not so well young men of a Caucasian descent would come in our school building and do harm to us. But psychologically in our minds, it's like, okay, we used to seeing violence. We used to seeing a young Black adolescent coming into the school with a gun or with a knife, and somebody would get harmed, somebody would get hurt. It wouldn't be 8, 9, 10 different people getting harmed or getting hurt. It'd only just be one person. But to see that in 1999 and to see a copycat of that over the past 10 years, going 15 and 20 years, and even most recently, it's like mind-blowing. And you know what? Columbine and even the school shootings that happened after that, there was no talk of mental illness that much. It was all about, we're going to put this on Marilyn Manson. We're going to put this on video games. We didn't start talking about mental illness until years and years and years and years later, where it's like, oh, mental illness is real. So, I just wanted to say that because, both you and the young lady on Instagram made some very valid points. But yeah, I mean, mental illness is at an all-time high. It is definitely, going from areas where people didn't have access. People to this very day only have limited access to mental health care. To now everybody in areas where it could be fluid or, rural or whatever the case may be, people are feeling it, from the aftermath of COVID-19, the pandemic, or even 9/11. Talk about going into the 2000s and 2001s and what happened on that unfortunate day on American soil in 2001 with 9/11 and the attack on this country, and as years went by, people in the hood weren't the only ones that were talking about mental illness or make it a taboo to go see a therapist. Now everybody across the country is raising awareness, and that's why we have Mental Health Awareness Month. But we're running out of time, Rasta, but I definitely want to get your thoughts and your 2 cents before we wrap up the show. And we really appreciate everybody's comments. Thank you so much for chiming in. But Rasta, did you want to add something to what I just said?
Overall, if we just take our time to be the best version of ourselves, whatever that means, as long as it adds to us and it doesn't take away, literally. In every decision we make to the best of our ability, what does this add to me? Because if it doesn't add to you, it takes away. If it keeps you stagnant, it's still taking away. You brought up the 90s. So in short, I looked something up a while back, between 1990 and 1992, right? mental health was serious. There were certain things going on in those times. And even though numbers fluctuated some from the 80s, it wasn't much, but more people sought help. So I say that to say, even statistically, if it wasn't reported that mental health issues were around and wasn't pointed out by the higher ups, so to speak, the people knew that they needed help. See, back then, it was love and peace and growth. Nowadays, it's forget you, what you stand on, and everything you believe in, because it's all about me and my feelings. The music back then taught love and consciousness. Nowadays, it's hate, sex, I'm gonna cheat on you, I'm gonna kill you. Let's make that make sense. So our music is contributing to mental health. But this is the thing that people go to calm down, to clear their mind. So we're clearing our mind with something that's telling us to do wrong, and it's actually calming us down. Wow. Then you have people who, it's a nice beat, like they really just listen to the beat, nothing else. The words are irrelevant, and that 808 drum get the beating. You know, they're kind of in tune with their culture. But on the outside, if somebody was listening to the song, they'd be like, what are you listening to? Not realizing that that's that person's train of thought. All I want is the beat. Although that may seem kind of weird if you think about it, that is a great form of therapy. If you had the ability to hear the beat and not the words. So, my last note overall would be, please seek help. Ask someone if they think you need help. Self-evaluation is everything. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Please don't be afraid. You're not alone. The statistic says so. Over 50 million people out there. So if you need help, you one of them 50 or the people that they couldn't count. That means you're not alone. One day at a time. Step by step. You got it. I know you got it. Because I'm the evidence of everything that I'm telling you. I'm the evidence of everything I'm telling you. And please don't make this mistake before I be quiet. When you seek the help and you get the help and things are going better, please don't think it's okay to stop receiving help. It doesn't mean stop. Oh, I got it. I feel better now. I done made these changes. Keep going. Because it works if you work it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well, Rasta, aka Mr. Goodman, another great episode in the books. We really appreciate it. And I just only have one last time for one more comment here. And this comes from Radell checking in. He said that in this political climate that we find ourselves living in, Black media is mad important. And I think he said DEI is not the move. With that being said, good luck with your show, brother. Okay, that's a whole different conversation. Maybe we will revisit that or next week. But next week, we might have a special guest, Rasta. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I definitely want to bring on a guest next week to touch more on mental health awareness. So, Rasta, before we get up out of here, go ahead and give the viewers, the listeners, your contact information or any information you want to provide to our viewers in case they need your resources or to seek help.
Well, if anybody requires any assistance from me in any form or fashion, you could reach me at Greater On Demand Consulting at gmail.com. If it's very, very important, you can call me at 478-331-7972. Please don't hesitate. If it's an emergency, please call 911 or call 988 for assistance. Please pick up the phone. Please call someone, anyone, so that you can be accountable for yourself, your well-being, your actions, your greatness, your mental health. It means everything. So once again, it's a slight correction in the phone. It's 678-331-7972. Greater On Demand Consulting at gmail.com.
And I promise on next episode, on the next episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke, we're going to get that information on our screen so that way our viewers and our listeners can have some time to take down that information and write it down and contact you and your team for additional resources and services. But they can always go back and play this again and again and again to get that information. We will have this episode on demand on the Honey channel, Honey streaming app, and on our YouTube at Reach One Network for on-demand purposes. And speaking of Honey, you can check out this episode tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as on the Flow Television Network. And you can always check out episodes like this and many more on ATL Community Media Channel 24. And speaking of which, my new show called Sean Garvey and My Special Guest will be premiering in just a few weeks on the same channel, ATL Community Media Channel 24, this summer, and available on Comcast and other streaming platforms. I want to thank everybody for commenting and tuning in to Therapy Ain't No Joke, especially all my real ones, all my viewers and listeners tuning in on YouTube and on the social media platforms. We will be expanding very, very soon, so be on the lookout for all the new changes that are getting ready to happen in the Reach One Communications universe. We got a lot of great things that we're getting ready to do and make it happen to give viewers a better experience when it comes to watching our content. And most importantly, shout out to Ray Melody for this amazing track that we're playing in the background, courtesy of Ray Melody. Make sure you follow her on social media at Ray Melody. She got them beats. So definitely hit her up via social media. All right. So it's been our time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke. And you can also follow the show and many more at The Mental Space Live on social media at The Mental Space Live. And any last remarks before we get up out of here, Rasta?
Y'all be great and wonderful on purpose.
There you go. Oh, and we cannot forget, Rasta, very important as well, too, because we did put it up on the screen here, the National Alliance for Mental Illness helpline at 1-800-950-NAMI. That is 1-800-950-6264, or you can send them an email to info@nami.org. Their operational hours are from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you need to talk to somebody after hours or 24/7, there you go. The 988 3-digit number there, in case you or someone you know is facing a mental health crisis or a suicide situation. Please call the Crisis and Suicide Lifeline 988 if you or someone you know is facing a mental health crisis. All right, so we're going to leave that up there for a few seconds, but until the next time, we will see you all again with our special guest next Wednesday night, same time, same affiliate market platforms. Therapy Ain't No Joke. Rasta and Sean Garvey signing off. Take care and have a great evening.
Everyone, it is the architect Sean Garvey, and guess what? I am back in the beautiful city of the ATL. As you can see in the backdrop here, looks a little bit like the old Atlanta, but not the new Atlanta. I'm just saying. But I'm here to let you know to join me coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24 as I introduce a brand new show called Sean Garvey and My Special Guest. Make sure you join me as I sit down and have one-on-one conversations with the best and brightest stars in the radio, film, TV, and even in the music industry. Plus, you get to learn something from yours truly and from my special guest. So make sure you join me, Sean Garvey, and my special guest coming soon to Atlanta's Channel 24, available on Comcast and Xfinity. And make sure you follow me on social media at Sean Garvey ATL. Mama, I made it, and I'm not even on the news.